After the Imola race got cancelled, Mercedes decided they didn't want to wait anymore. They're bringing their huge car upgrades to Monaco for the next race. Monaco needs cars with lots of downforce, which is perfect for Mercedes' new upgrades on their W14 car. But it's also one of the most dangerous races to try out such big changes to their car. Still, Mercedes is showing they don't have time to waste. Since Monaco is Monaco, they're really hoping to start at the front of the grid when qualifying happens. They want to keep this good position throughout the whole race. So will these new upgrades help them win their first race this season? The Silver Arrows started this season really badly. Their W14 car had a problem. The front was too strong, but the back had no downforce at all. This basically meant the car couldn't make enough downforce from the back wing and the floor. These are the two main parts that create downforce in the new rules. The floor is the most important part. That's why the Monaco upgrades will include a new floor, new front suspension, and a completely new side pod design. People think it's a mix of the AMR23 and RB19 cars. But besides the back downforce problem, what was the main thing the W14 struggled with? Like I said earlier in this video, the strong front end was too hard for Hamilton to handle. He said the car was very hard to predict in slow corners. The braking points were really difficult to figure out too. This meant Hamilton and Russell had to give up some straight-line speed before they got to corners. They had to brake earlier, and because the car was so unstable, they had to speed up later after leaving the corner. These are the parts where Red Bull and Aston Martin were able to get way ahead. They did this by having a car with tons of downforce. But the W14 had none of this in the first 5 races. You could see this most clearly in Bahrain, a track that needed medium downforce from the cars. Imola is a track that needs high downforce, which means if Mercedes' upgrades actually work, it would be the best thing the team could hope for. But will it be enough to challenge Verstappen and Perez? According to Wolff and Russell, just the car design by itself won't be enough to beat the Red Bulls ahead. But it's definitely a step going the right way. So what they wanted to do right now was keep everyone's hopes low to medium. If the car doesn't give them the results they want, they don't want to get attacked for getting everyone too excited about the new design that has James Allison's fingerprints all over it. When talking about what to expect from the design, Russell said that even though the W14 started to show some fight and be competitive in Miami with the same old design, they still finished 30 seconds behind Red Bull and quite a bit behind Alonso. So while the design itself is pushing the team in the right direction, it's not enough to make them race winners. The good news for Mercedes is they'll also bring upgrades to 2 other places, Barcelona and Silverstone. Plus, they can count on 17 extra hours of wind tunnel time compared to Red Bull as the season goes on. But we'll talk about that later in this video. First, let's see what Wolff had to say about the upgrade, and what the newest news is about the W14 in Monaco. When talking about it, the Austrian explained how big this change is. He called it major surgery, because they're bringing 3 different parts. Getting all of them to work together in one machine will definitely be a huge challenge the team will have to figure out. He also added, "I think what we're trying to do with the upgrade is create a new starting point for us. We want to take question marks and unknowns out of the picture and say this is not a problem anymore now that we've gone to a different setup. That includes things like front suspension. We're also looking at bodywork, solutions that are, let's say, more normal than others. This will create different airflow. It's almost like starting over to what would have been a good beginning 12 months ago and then trying to add speed to the car. But right now it's just that we don't understand things well enough." One thing Mercedes really struggled with was guessing how their car would perform at certain racetracks. Sure, they found out they could get good results on tracks that are front-limited, but that's nowhere near enough to be competitive in a season where you have a team that might win every single race. Most of the time, the car would do well when you'd expect it the least, and that was basically the whole story of the 22 season. one that Mercedes called a data-collecting year. But even though the upgrades are pushing Mercedes in the right direction, thinking they'd fight with Red Bull with just one major upgrade is kind of unrealistic. Even Steiner himself said that adding 0.5 of a second in just one upgrade package with the budget cap and the development path of the 2023 season is impossible. After the Miami race and before the Italian race got cancelled, Hamilton was asked if he thinks he can compete with the Red Bulls in Imola with the new upgrade. His answer was that unless the upgrade brings a 1-second advantage per lap time, there's no way he'd be competitive for the win. Wolff, on the other hand, has also said no. The car's upgrade won't be something that would boost performance as much as Hamilton asked for. When talking about the goals in Imola, and for the rest of the season, the Austrian added, "I don't believe in miracles, but I think that how stable the car is and how predictable it is for the drivers is really bad. If you think you can fix that with a front suspension redesign, then that's definitely a good path to take. This could be more than a 1/10 or 2 on lap time. But the aerodynamic package brings more from simply unlocking more drivability and speed. No other cars should be moving forward right away. But we know what we want to deliver in terms of aerodynamic performance and hopefully also better behavior of the car." Obviously, Mercedes' performance in Monaco will be a huge question mark, and a 0.3 of a second improvement will definitely put them in a fight for podiums. But it will still be far from Red Bull's performance. So where are the Silver Arrows seeing the chance to challenge Verstappen or Perez later in the middle of the season? The teams are starting to get rewards from their aerodynamic facilities, and it seems like Mercedes feels they can use the 17 extra hours in these facilities to make themselves competitive again. If they manage to deliver a good and working design for the W14, then there shouldn't be a problem in closing the gap more to Red Bull. But this would be very hard to achieve at Imola, a track that helps Red Bull much more than it does Mercedes because of the downforce requirements. But we can't forget that all the upgrades Mercedes is bringing to Monaco are to fix the downforce requirements of the car. So even though we might not see them fighting for wins, they could definitely grab a podium on pure speed. If they manage to do that, then it's safe to say they've achieved the platform that Wolff was talking about. And ultimately, that was the main goal of the Mercedes upgrade. One thing Mercedes can count on in Monaco is how unpredictable the track is. Anything can happen here, and if you're fast with a little bit of luck, you can get a front-row starting position on Sunday and then just cruise for the win. You just hope that the tactics and the reliability will work well for you. On top of that, Mercedes is also taking a big risk by bringing these upgrades to Monaco, given the fact that Russell and Hamilton will have zero chance of making a mistake because the circuit is so narrow. But it just shows that Mercedes doesn't have time to waste anymore. Andrew Chauvelin also talked about the upgrades that Mercedes was supposed to bring to Imola, but are now moving to Monaco. While he understands that the new parts will deliver stronger speed, he also confirmed that this is just the first and definitely not the last step toward recovering from 1.5 years of developing a car with the wrong design. When talking about it, Chauvelin added, "The Imola package are the first steps in that direction. We're hoping to bring other updates later in the year. We do hope that it's quicker. We hope that it's better in terms of qualifying and speed. The key thing, though, is that we're not just looking to bring a lap time update. We're looking to head off in a different development direction, one that we think gives us a better chance in the long term of being able to challenge for race wins and world championships. With this in mind, we do have a lot to look for in Monaco, because Mercedes is definitely not the only team bringing upgrades and looking to challenge Red Bull's dominance. But they are the only team bringing something completely brand new, which only increases the chance that we'll hear the British national anthem after every race more often.